All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 682 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And we got a two for today. We're going to talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons. Georgia Southern is back to work as they head up to James Madison to play James Madison, the Dukes. This is going to be another big game, just like it was last season. Last season, Georgia Southern played James Madison as they were ranked top 25 in the country. We ended up beating them in Paulson. This time they are undefeated. We only have one loss to Wisconsin. We're going to go up there, and I'm pretty sure those guys are going to be looking for revenge, as we're going to continue to show that we are one of the strongholds in the Sun Belt. So that's going to be a very good game. I can't wait to look into that. Also, big news today, Van Jefferson of the Rams has been traded to the Falcons. He was a Ram, very productive receiver for the Rams. But since the Rams got a couple other guys in there that are producing, and his role was limited, we end up trading for him for we swapped picks. We they sent the 2025 6th-round pick, which is that's 2 years away, to the Rams, and we got a 7th-round pick for 2025 as well. So basically, like, we traded for a couple of sophomores in college. We traded a couple of sophomores in college, and also you receive Van Jefferson. This is going to be a really good. I think this is a really good pickup. We're going to talk about this. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. So hopefully you guys will check out the podcast avenue. You can be your own program manager and listen to the show at your leisure. Also, if you're on YouTube and Rumble, hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button, let people know. It will let people know that what we're doing over here, and the video will go up into the algorithm and bring more eyes onto the show. I could be found on X at VF Baller, and the website is firstandframerates.com, firstandframerates.com. All right, let's just get into this. Van Jefferson, why did we trade for him? I have no idea. I think we have pretty good receivers already, and we don't need that much help in that department. But I will say, Van Jefferson could be a really good slot guy, possibly, shift into the number 2 slot. Let's say if Mac Hollins don't necessarily work out for next year, I think Van Jefferson will be an excellent receiver to actually extend if we don't extend Mac Hollins. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I think right now, Van Jefferson in the slot, if we do 3 wide receiver sets, I think this would be a really good look for Desmond Ridder. This is another receiver that can actually get some separation. He's a pretty good speed receiver. Help Desmond Ridder as far as getting some length down the field, like as far big passes or blowing the top off the defense. Now, we've seen this in some cases. We already seen that some long passes to Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and even Mac Hollins. But I think this is a surefire bet if you want to throw this guy in the slot and beat a nickel DB. And I think this is what you would want. So in that sense, I see where it's working. I don't think we necessarily needed him, but we only gave up a 6th-round pick for 2025, and we're getting a 7th-round pick in return. In some cases, you could think this is highway robbery because of the fact that we only gave up a 7th-round pick for 2 years from now, and and we got a player. So it looked like easily we won this trade. The Rams probably didn't think about getting anything from this. Van Jefferson was basically not used in the Rams lineup because you got Puka Nacua. He was basically, stepping up and doing big things for the team. Big numbers so far for that rookie. So it kind of put Van Jefferson the odd man out. So what does this mean for the Falcons? The Falcons gets another weapon. I know a lot of people were saying that the Falcons need pass rush. I get it. I believe it. I know they do. But I don't think it may not be too big of a market for pass rushers. I mean, anybody who's getting at the quarterback and doing a pretty good job, for the most part, they're not necessarily, up for sale. They're not up for a trade. So I don't know. For the most part, I think the Falcons are doing okay as far as getting to the quarterback. They're just not getting the sacks. Because if you've seen the last few weeks, we have been getting at the quarterback. We just haven't been getting the quarterback to the ground. So it's okay. Basically, what we gave up for him, we didn't lose anything. If anything, we gained something. We sent off a 6th-round pick. We're getting a 7th-round pick in return, and we getting a pretty good player that could be dynamic. And like I said, you could possibly extend this player if you're able to catch lightning in a bottle, or you pick up what he did back in 2021. Speaking of in 2021, I think that's when he had his biggest year. I want to think. I think it's a Super Bowl run. He played every game. He had 89 targets. He had 50 catches for 802 yards and 6 touchdowns. And like I said, he was pretty dynamic throughout that entire Super Bowl run with him, Odell, and Cooper Kupp. I mean, you want to have that dynamic with the 3 receivers. So you got Hollins, London, and now you got Jefferson. It's just going to make things easier for Desmond Ridder. And you would want that out of Desmond Ridder. You want him to continue to build and try to be a guy that can actually make some things happen. And you just add another receiver there. It does help. I mean, I don't think where this trade necessarily hurts in the long run. I just don't see it. So, like I said, with Mac Hollins having a 1-year deal, and you have Jefferson, these guys are probably going to be, competing for an extension. And I think Jefferson's 27. I want to see what Mac Hollins. How old is Mac Hollins? Oh, he's 30. So I mean, if Mac Hollins actually play well throughout the season, I can see him getting probably another 2-year deal. You can see the same thing with Van Jefferson, probably getting a 2 or 3-year deal. We have a lot of cap space, so it's a possibility that you can at least keep these guys intact, because our receiving corp is actually pretty cheap on the dollar right now. You got Drake London on his rookie deal. You got Kyle Pitts in his rookie deal. You can extend these guys for a couple more seasons until you decide to pay Drake or Kyle, or even pay both. You just have to figure out how you're going to do that. That's where Terry Fontenot, gets in the mix. So we'll see. These 4 guys, Pitts, London, Jefferson, and Hollins. I mean, it's not a bad look. So we'll see how it plays out. So we'll just leave it there, and I think he'll probably be playing against the Commanders. So we'll see whatever wrinkle he brings to the table. We'll see how it works. Georgia Southern, let's talk about them real quick before we get out of here. Georgia Southern is going up against James Madison. This is going to be a really good game. I highly recommend, if you like football. I think this is probably the game that you may want to watch, because the Sun Belt is not, the Sun Belt never has bad moments when it comes to football. They always have pretty good football on the TV when you're ever watching them. Georgia Southern is 1-0 in the conference. James Madison is 2-0. James Madison is 5-0 overall, and Georgia Southern is 4-1. This is going to be a really good game. If you watch the game from last year, Kyle Van Treese and company, basically, I think they threw for like 578 yards on the James Madison Dukes. I think that's what they call them, the Dukes. And it was a pretty good game. I don't know if we'll be able to replicate that again, but this is going to be a good one. Going up to James Madison, they have a beautiful stadium up there. I've seen it on. I see how the beautiful, how the stadium is set up. I would love to go there and see a game sometime, in the future, because it just looks phenomenal from what I've seen on the computer. It looks very enticing to go. And we're looking at what these guys have it on the screen right here. Very similar. Davis Brent has a little bit more interceptions than McLeod due to the Wisconsin game. I mean, he threw 5 in that game, but I don't expect that to ever happen again. But Davis Brent has more receiving yards. The rushing yards are very similar when it comes to Arnold and Black as far as the leaders, and Caleb Hood and Brown for James Madison are the leading receivers. So they have James Madison with a slight edge to win this game. I can understand why. If we were at home, the slight edge would flip easily, I believe. And I'm just looking at what they have on this as far as the stats. James Madison, let me tell you something. This is what I didn't notice, and this is not necessarily a pregame, because I feel like Georgia Southern can make some things happen. But is this some type of typo? But James Madison only gives up 38 yards a game as far as rushing. If that's right, wow, that's extremely well. It says 38.6. I want to say it's 138.6, but I could be wrong. It could be 38.6. But nevertheless, they give up a lot of yards passing. So this is where Georgia Southern could shine. I mean, this could be a situation where, similar to last year, they gave up almost 600 yards passing. And with that being said, Georgia Southern is right where it needs to be. Defensively, Georgia Southern is very good on defense as well, where we bend but definitely don't break. And I think that could be the difference. If we start this game, we can get in a shootout. James Madison, I don't believe they'll be able to keep up and catch up. I know they had a pretty good shootout game against against Utah State, which they went there and beat them. And they had a pretty good game against the Virginia, but that was Virginia. They're clearly on the downslide. But with us, I don't think anybody wants to be in a shootout with us, because with us we put up points, and it's very hard to keep up, especially with the defense that we have. Our defense is much improved from last year, which is sure enough is a difference from this year. It's a big difference. So I feel like at the end of the day, Georgia Southern's going back to work, going up against James Madison. I think that they want to be able to make something happen. And this game, I'm not going to say is more winnable than last year, but I will say that Georgia Southern has their chances based on how many yards James Madison has given up through the air. They're giving up over 300 yards passing. And even though they are stopping the run, the run is not necessarily Georgia Southern forte anymore with the air raid offense. So, I mean, we throw for over 330 yards a game. They give up 311. So this could be somewhat of it could be a repeat of last year, but I got to see if our defense can hold James Madison as well. If they can hold them, this could be a really lopsided game, but we'll see. I'm going to keep more of that, into later on this week when we actually talk about a pregame, because it's a lot here to dissect, and I want to look at some more James Madison stuff before I get into it, but as far as I know, man, this is going to be it looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Georgia Southern's back to work. What do you guys think? You think they can go up there and beat James Madison? So far, so good. I see what they got in store for themselves. It's not going to be an easy task, but based on what I see with the passing yards that James Madison give up, it's very easy. I ain't gonna say it's very easy, but you can see it happening. And what about the Van Jefferson move coming to Atlanta? What do you think about that? Doesn't really move the needle. It just helps Desmond Ridder for another target, but we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm going to get up out of here. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. And I am on Twitter or X at VF Baller, and the podcast website is firstandframeraise.com. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.